po sa inyo lahat. So ngayon, pag-aaral natin ay tungkol sa rational expressions. So ano nga ba ang rational expressions? So ang rational expressions ay any expressions that can be expressed in the form of A over B. Okay, so which means fraction. For example, 1/2, 2/5. Okay, so A is 1 here, ito B is 2. Naman A is 2, B is 5. Pwede rin naman siyang, for example, 16. 16 is also considered as a rational expression because 16 can be expressed as 16 over 1 or 32 over 2. So you have your A and B. Okay. But in algebra, possible that one of the parts of the fraction is missing. Okay. For example, you can say that can be an x over 7. Okay. So the A here, which is the numerator x, is missing. We don't know what the value of x is. So it's also possible that the denominator is missing. For example, 7 over x. Yeah. So these are some examples of rational expressions. But it can also be, a numerator can also be a binomial or a trinomial or a polynomial. For example, it can be 2 over x plus 1. 3x plus 1 over 2x minus 3. X squared plus 4x plus 3 over x squared minus 9. These are also examples of an algebraic expressions. So how do you know if an expression is undefined? Okay, so based on your lessons in the previous years, you learned that any number divided by 0 is undefined. For example, 7 over 0, okay, 3 over 0, even 1 million over 0 are all undefined. Okay? Which means there's no such thing. So, hindi pwede. Okay? Take note, a common error, a number over 0 is undefined, but 0 over any number, okay, 0 over any number is not undefined. This is all equal to 0. Okay, so minsan kasi doon may confusion doon. So how do you know if a rational expression is undefined? Example, 3 over x. Because the denominator is unknown, so x can be any number. So there is only numbers that are not allowed to be used because the expression 3 over x will be undefined. Okay, so if we let x be equal to 1, then the value of the expression will be equal to 3. If we let x equals to 2, then the value of the expression will be 3 over 2. If we let x equal to 0, then it becomes 3 over 0, then it becomes 3 over 0, as we mentioned, is undefined. Which means, if we let x equal to 0, then this expression will be undefined. So, there's only one value that we can use to make this expression undefined, and that is 0. And we call that now restriction. Okay, so when we talk about restriction, these are the value or values that we are not supposed to use because it will make the expression undefined. So in this case, the restriction is x equals to 0. Okay, because if we use x 0, then the expression is undefined. Okay, so let's have this expression. We have 2 over x plus 1. Okay, so 2 over x plus 1 is a rational expression because a here is equal to 2 and b is equal to x plus 1. Okay, but what will make this expression undefined? Okay, take note that we only need to check on the denominator because as we said, the numerator can be 0. So it's okay. But what we don't allow is that the denominator will be equal to 0. So we don't really care much about the numerator. If it's 0, negative, positive, it's okay. Our only concern is the denominator. So that is what we're going to test. So in this expression, what will make this expression undefined? And that is if that is 2 over 0. Okay? So what value of x will make it now equal to 0? So we have an equation. So we can now equate the x plus 1 equal to 0. Okay? And then by solving, by subtracting 1 on both sides, so we'll get x is negative 1, which means x should not be equal to negative 1. Okay, so let's have the next example, x minus 2 over x minus 5. Okay, so the numerator is also an algebra expression x minus 2. So this one can be equal to 0. So we will not check on that one anymore. So what we're going to check is that the denominator. So actually the first step is to equate the denominator to 0. Okay? So we have x, our denominator is x, denominator x is minus 5 and equate it to 0. So that's our first step. Second step is to solve for the variable. It's not always x, take note, it can be any variable that will be assigned in an expression. But for now, we're using x. So x minus 5 equals 0. We all know that is just by adding negative 5 on both sides. By adding 5 on both sides, we'll get now x equals to 5. So therefore, the restriction is x should not be equal to 5. Okay? How about the next example? So for the next example, we have x over 3. Okay? So we have x over 3. So what will make this expression undefined? Remember, it will be undefined if the denominator is equal to 0. Okay? So if you notice that the denominator is an integer, it's positive 3. So there's no way that this will become 0. Okay? For x, yes, it can be 0. So whatever we put for the variable x, the denominator 3 will not change. For example, if we let x equal to 1, what will be the expression equal to? So it will be just become 1/3. If x is 0, it becomes 0 over 3. If x is negative 2, it will be just negative 2 over 3. If you notice, the denominator doesn't change. Okay, so if we try any numbers, we will have no value that will make that denominator 0. Okay, so if that is the case, then we can say that this has no restrictions. No restrictions, meaning we can use all real numbers. Okay, usually we use that x is an element of real numbers, which means we can use any number for the variable x. Okay, so I will give you time to answer the following. So you need to state the value of the variable that will make the rational expression undefined. Okay, so you may pause this video and then we will answer in a while.
Many months later.
Okay, so let us now answer the following items. So for the first one, this will be undefined if x is equal to 0. So we will not let x be equal to 0. For the second one, so what will make the denominator 0. So we equate that 3 from the denominator, we get the denominator, and then equate it to 0. Then by solving, we know now that x is equal to 0. So our restriction now is x should not be equal to 0. Okay? Number 3. For number 3, so the denominator is x minus 7, equate it to 0. And then by adding 7 on both sides, x will be equal to 7. Right? If you let this equal to 7 minus 7, then you get 0, and that will make it undefined. Number 4. So the numerator, we don't really mind the numerator, but our focus is the denominator. So that is x plus 9 equals 0. So by adding negative 9 on both sides, we'll get x should not be equal to 9 because that will make the expression x plus 1 over x plus 9 undefined. And for the last one, same process. So we have 2x plus 6 equal to 0. So we can now solve this one. So we add negative 6 on both sides. And then we multiply 1/2 or divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to negative 3. So that will be our restriction. So we cannot use negative 3 for the said expression. Are you correct? Did you get 5? Good. Okay, so I have here 5 items that you can answer. Okay, and then I will show the answer on my next video. Okay, our next video is on simplifying rational expression. Okay, bye.